Okay, so welcome everybody. We have a short mindful movement practice this evening for around 25 minutes or so. Um, just before you begin, just check your surroundings to make sure if you kind of reach out to the sides, you're not going to bash into anything. You're going to reach up likewise, and that your seat is nice and stable and secure. And please do remember that for any of the movements that I'm guiding, they are all entirely optional. And if they don't feel right for your body, then just go with whatever does feel right for your body. So, for example, if I lift my arm up to here and you've got stuff going on in the shoulder and it feels better to leave it much lower, please just be good to yourself and listen to your body and only do the things that feel right. Okay. So let's just begin by gently closing the eyes for a moment or lowering the gaze. And just gradually becoming aware of the whole of our bodies. And we might start by feeling the connection with the feet on the floor. Maybe we can feel the surface beneath the feet, whether that's softness of shoes or socks or hardness of flooring. And then mentally scanning upwards, up through the legs, the knees, upper parts of the legs. Checking out around the hips and the pelvis, the abdomen. Maybe noticing movement of breath in the abdomen. And the chest, rib cage, back of the body. Arms, hands and fingers. And the neck and the head. So briefly just scanning, turning awareness inwards. And noticing whatever's here at the beginning of our practice. And perhaps sitting a little taller through the spine, rolling the shoulders back and down. So finding a posture in a way that we normally would in a sitting meditation. A posture that feels dignified and yet still comfortable. And our intention for our practice may be around being curious about how our body feels, how it reacts, what it can do, what it doesn't want to do. There may be intentions around going gently or listening to the body. Or any other intentions you'd like to set just now. And seeing if we can connect with a sense of motivation for this. So how might it be useful to be able to bring mindfulness practice to the body when it's moving? How could that benefit us in some way? And when you're ready, let's gently blink the eyes open, returning them to the screen. And we'll begin just by some gentle movements of the head and the neck. So let's start just by turning the head to one side, it doesn't matter which one, and just pausing there. And really exploring sensations in the neck when we hold here. So making sure we're not over stretching, over pushing. Just feeling what's here. And then gradually bringing the head slowly back to the center. And seeing if we can work out which muscles are involved, what we can feel. And then gradually taking the head over to the other side. Again, really respecting what the neck is telling us just now. Maybe we need to back off a little, or maybe we can explore the stretch a little more, but just holding here. How do we know the head's turned to one side? Where are those sensations? And then coming back to center, noticing how it is to really gradually come back. And then we can take one ear down to the shoulder. So just allowing the head to tilt. Again, not forcing this, but just should be a gentle stretch up the opposite side of the neck. Sort of getting a sense of that we're relaxing into this. There's nothing to do but hang out here and explore. And then bringing the head back slowly to the center. Maybe it feels heavy somehow. Mine feels a little heavy, or maybe not. And then we'll go over to the opposite side. Maybe seeing how the breath is too here. Can we breathe in fully, deeply, but gently? Nothing to do but just hang out. And whenever it feels right for you, bringing the head back to the center. And this time we're going to turn the head sort of on the diagonal, so not as far across as it was before, maybe looking to the corner of the room, and then just drop the chin. So sort of bowing the head, looking down towards the thigh or the floor. So this time there may be a stretch in a slightly different place around the back of the neck. How does that feel? You might even want to bring in some little micro movements here, so playing with this position a little bit. And then lifting the head back up and bringing it back to the center. And we'll go to the other side. So again, just going half the way over as if we're looking diagonally, and then dropping the chin. So there may be sensations down the back of the neck towards the shoulders or the upper part of the back. Noticing how it feels, maybe some little micro movements again. And then coming back, lifting the head and coming back to the center. And then I'm going to take the head over to one side and just slowly roll the head so that the chin comes to the chest, and then over to the opposite side, and then back forwards again. So we're doing a kind of half circle, a semicircle, just easing into that neck, allowing all the little clicks and pops that may be going on in the back of the neck. But again, being really careful that we're not overdoing this in any way. It should feel like a nice stretch, a bit like a big yawn. And then coming back to the center. And let's draw a nice big circle in front of us, but with our nose. So lifting the chin a little, not throwing the head back, just gently lifting the chin. And then in one direction, drawing a nice big circle with the nose. Or maybe actually for you, a smaller circle feels more appropriate. How is it to really exercise and stretch out the neck? Let's do a couple in one direction and then a couple in the other direction. And seeing if we can keep the shoulders nice and relaxed as we do this. And then when you're ready, coming back to the center. And then we're going to draw some circles with our shoulders this time. So to begin with, bringing the shoulders forwards and then up to the ears and then rolling them back down the body, and just continuing with that in your own time. And you might like to synchronize the breathing so that as we lift the shoulders towards the ears, we breathe in. And as we roll them down the back, we breathe out. So you can make these movements as slow or as quick as you need, as small or as large as feels right. There might be an element of bringing the spine in as well. And then we can just pause and go in the opposite direction. So this time breathing in, shoulders come round the back and then up. And breathing out, coming forward. So maybe the spine is kind of arching the back as we go up and then rounding forward as we come down a little bit. And if you like, then we can either carry on with a few of those or we could bring the elbows involved. So if we come forward this time with the shoulders and the elbows, maybe they touch, maybe they don't, it doesn't matter. But then bringing the elbows up so the the fingertips stay on the shoulders. And then we can take the elbows back. So slightly bigger movements maybe, but just going as far as feels good. And again, there might be a little bit of crunching or popping in the shoulder joints. I can certainly hear that, but obviously not doing this movement at all if there's any sense of pain. Should just feel like a nice stretch, a big yawn at the top. And then let's do a few in the opposite direction. So elbows back to begin with. And coming forward as we breathe out. Breathing in through the nose if that's possible. And then breathing out on the way down. Just one more. Breathing in. And then releasing down. And we can give the hands and the shoulders a bit of a shake out. And then just placing the hands back on the lap. Just a little more for the shoulders. Let's breathe in and bring the ears up to the shoulders, opening the mouth and then sighing the breath away. A couple more like that. Breathing in, raising the shoulders, pausing for a minute if we can, and then as if we're letting go of something. And a couple more in your own time. Breathing in, and then as if we're putting down a big weight. And do one more. And just notice how that feels now, maybe even closing the eyes for a moment. You may like to place one hand over the heart, one hand over the abdomen. Just connecting with the breathing body. Maybe feeling the heart underneath the hand that's on the chest. And then we'll release the hands back down. And let's just rotate the wrists a little bit here. So however you'd like to move the wrist, like we're conducting an orchestra or flowing our hands through water maybe, playing an imaginary piano, bringing a bit of movement into the hands. And then let's close the eyes and continue to do this for a moment. So now maybe we can really feel how that feels. All the kind of joints, the knuckles, moving in different ways. And some people can find this really easy to do, to connect with the feeling of movement. But for others, it's a little trickier, so it doesn't matter whether it works well or not for you. We're just exploring. And then let's open the eyes. And we're going to flick hands open. So bringing the kind of nails, the ends of the fingers together, and then flicking the hands open. Not a typical movement that we'd normally do, but just internalizing this. So again, maybe closing the eyes, and how does that feel? It feels to me quite staccato, quite explosive movement. And then we can open the eyes. And this time we're going to place the palms out in front. So with the hands turned uppermost. And do a different movement. So this time, very slowly and gradually, we're going to curl the fingertips in towards the palm of the hands to make just very loose fists. And then to stretch them back out again. And it can feel quite nice to match this to our breathing. So breathing in as we curl the fingertips forward. And then out as we stretch them away. And again, if you wish to close the eyes here, we can really get a sense of matching the movement with breath. And maybe we can even slow that movement down a little bit more so that the breath becomes a little bit more extended, a little deeper. Noticing how the fingers feel as they curl, how the skin might stretch as we expand the hands. And then if you've had the eyes closed, just opening them, and we'll bring the hands down again. And this time I'm going to do something with my feet, which I know you can't see, but I'm going to pretend that my hands are my feet. So my hands are going to do what my feet are doing. So at the moment, my feet are flat on the floor. And all I'm going to do is curl the toes kind of under a little bit, not to the point of it feeling painful, just gradually curling them in and noticing how does it feel to scrunch up the toes like that. And then to release them and to relax and to pause and notice how that feels. And again, let's scrunch up the toes, maybe on an in-breath. And then gradually release, unfurl, uncurl. And one more time, as we scrunch up the toes, maybe there's also sensations in the calves or the rest of the leg somewhere. And as we breathe out and uncurl, maybe there's that sense of letting go, of releasing a little. So you can do one more if you wish, if that feels okay. And then lifting one leg slightly off the floor. So I'm going to just interlace my fingertips underneath my thigh just to lift that up, just very slightly off the floor, enough so that I can rotate my ankle like that. So just doing a few circles in one direction and a few circles in the other direction. And maybe even closing the eyes again. How does it feel to really internalize that rotation? And there may be sensations going on in the groin or the hip there, so resting the leg if we need to, perhaps just moving in the chair a little bit. And then we can do the same on the other side. So interlacing the hands to support the underneath the thigh, just gradually taking the leg off the floor, and then with the foot gradually rotating as we did earlier with the wrists. And again, if anything's going on for you that doesn't feel right, either in the legs or the hips or the lower back or anything at all, just taking a moment to breathe and to rest. Couple in one direction, couple in the other direction. And then releasing down. And we're now going to try and really push the soles of our feet into the floor. And notice what happens to the rest of the body as we do that. So releasing again. Again, it might be one to do with your eyes closed if that feels okay. But pushing the whole of both feet into the floor. So there may be things going on in the thighs. There may be sensations in the core as we hold this. The spine might grow a little taller. And then releasing and relaxing. And how does that feel in the legs as well as the feet? More like that, pressing down, holding it if that feels okay. Maybe sensations in the calves or the shins, different sensations in the sit bones, and then releasing and relaxing that. And if you need to have a little shift or a kind of shimmy around in your seat a little bit to get comfortable in between, that's fine. This time we're going to do that same kind of tensing and releasing, but through the palms of the hands. So I'm just going to bring the hands together and very gently push the palms together. So if you've got anything going on with the wrists, you can do this with the elbows further down. Otherwise, you might like to bring the arms in line, just pushing together, noticing the sensations, and then releasing for a moment. And again, bringing the palms of the hands together, even before we start pressing. There's sensations of contact between the pads of the fingers, the kind of heel of the hands. And then if we push together, how does that feel? Sensations in the arms might come into play, in the shoulders, maybe the back of the body, and then release. And if you need to give the wrists a bit of a rotate in the meantime, please do so. We'll do one more, pushing the hands together. Maybe the shoulders move back a little bit, or there's a sense of squeezing in between the shoulder blades or the core switching on. And then releasing. And again, just shaking out the hands. And so if you have a little bit of space on either side of your chair, we're going to do that tense and release things by pressing down through the chair, but just be aware of your surface. If you need to, you could kind of slide the hands slightly underneath the thighs and do it that way. Maybe pressing down on the arm of a chair if you have an arm. But if it's not safe to do this, please don't. But I'm just going to take my hands to either side of the body and gradually straighten the arms as I press down and just not fully lifting the sit bones off the chair, but just enough so that I can begin to feel the weight of the body going through the arms. And then releasing. And again, maybe having a little bit of a wrist roll in between. And we'll do 2 more like that if that feels okay. And again, perhaps closing the eyes as we press down. Where can I feel sensation? Palms of the hands, the wrists, the lower arms, the upper arms, the shoulders. Any changes elsewhere in the body, and releasing. And then just 1 more, if that feels okay. And this might be a really subtle movement. The arms might not go straight. There might be still quite a bend in the elbows. And then releasing. Having a little bit of a shake out, bit of a shift. And then we're going to do a few more movements now that synchronize with the breath. So we can start by imagining we're holding a kind of a small football in front of us, palms facing each other but not touching. And as we breathe in, we're just going to slowly move our hands apart. And they can go as wide or as wide as you wish. It might not be as wide as mine. And then breathing out, slowly bringing the hands back together. So your breathing might be faster or slower than mine. That's absolutely fine. Breathing in to really stretch the arms wide, straightening the arms if you can. And then breathing out as if we're moving the hands through water or even treacle, like there's some resistance there. Breathing in. And if you wish, at the extension of the arms, we can squeeze in between the shoulder blades at the back of the body, really taking the arms quite far back. Breathing out to come forward. And 1 more. And your movements might be much smaller. They might just come to here. That's fine as well. Breathing in to come forward. And then we're going to allow the hands to rest either side of the body. So just palms facing upwards. And this time as we breathe in, we're going to lift the arms as far up as feels right for you. So may not be all the way up. And when we get to the top, we're going to rotate the hands so the palms face down. And imagine we're pushing that air away as if there's some resistance. Slowly out with a nice, easy breath. Breathing in. Coming up to wherever feels okay, turning the palms away. Breathing out. Just continuing this for a few more movements. You can rest at any time you need to if the shoulders feel a little tired or this doesn't feel like a good move for you. And if you like imagery, we might have a sense of reeds moving through water or jellyfish gradually beating their tentacles in one way and then the other through water. And noticing if there's any heat maybe building up in the shoulders as we do this. Maybe some of the sensations are coming into play. Just exploring, and then when we're ready, giving the arms another little shake out. Maybe pausing for a moment and checking in with particularly how the shoulders feel just now. There might be a sense of tingling or buzzing, or maybe not much is here, that's fine too. And then a few more like that, but this time on our in-breath, We're going to cactus the arms, sticking out the chest, bringing the elbows back, maybe looking up a little way. And then as we breathe out, we're going to really round the spine and bring the arms forward and take the chin down towards the chest. So breathing in, there's a sense of broadening across the chest, maybe lifting the gaze and the chin. Breathing out, a kind of rounding as if we're hugging a giant beach ball, chin to chest. And again, a couple more like this. And again, this could be quite a small, subtle movement if that feels better for you. It's really stretching into each movement to whatever extent feels good for you. Might be a nice big rounding of the spine, kind of bringing the shoulders forward, or maybe something a bit smaller. And when you've finished your next movement, again, just releasing the shoulders and the arms. And all we're going to do now is to raise the hands and turn over to one side, point to one side so that we're rotating the shoulders and the chest a little way, and then placing the arms down and just holding this twist. So maybe as we breathe in here, we can sit a little bit taller. And as we breathe out, just softening and seeing if maybe we can take the neck to look behind us. Only going as far as feels right for you. And then gradually bringing the torso back to the center. And just connecting with how that feels to have done that move. And then this time we'll point over to the opposite side. Again, just allowing the hands to rest down. Growing nice and tall on an in-breath. And then seeing if we can explore that twist a little more. And feeling how it is to breathe as well in this twisted position. Maybe we don't breathe into quite the same part of the body as we do when we're untwisted. Really slowly coming back to the center, just unraveling the body, noticing how that feels. And then raising one arm nice and slowly. So again, feeling the weight of the arm as we raise it. It may not be all the way up. You may keep a bend in the elbow if that feels better. And then just stabilizing ourselves with our other hand. I'm just going to lean over to the opposite side. So only as far as feels A, safe, and B, right for your body. So it might just be a bit of a lean. You might go all the way down, whatever feels right. And seeing how it is to really open the armpit, sort of taking the elbow as far back as feels okay. So imagining we've got like a ruler, the spine's like a ruler, and we're bent, one of those plastic rulers that you used to be able to bend over. We do not want to snap the ruler, just gently bending it. And whenever you need to, bring the arm down. Again, just pausing. How does that side of the body feel? How does the arm feel, the shoulder feel? And then when we're ready, we'll raise up the other arm. Noticing how the joint feels, how the fingertips feel when they're up in the air like this. And whenever you're ready, gently leaning over to the opposite side. And you can either allow the arm to bend, or you might like to make it really active and straighten the arm. Coming back sooner than me if that feels right for you, so no need to hold this Same length of time. But when you're ready, gradually coming up, maybe the sensations in the fingertips now, bringing the arms slowly down. So all these muscles, all these processes of life going on, shaking them out a little way. And then we're going to imagine we've got a pencil in our belly button, and we're going to draw a circle from sort of around and around. So we're trying to keep the shoulders roughly where they are and the hips roughly where they are, but we're going to kind of collapse the belly button backwards and then come around to the front. So if this isn't quite working for you, then you can actually bring the shoulders into it as well and circle the whole body. But just having a little play with, can we isolate the middle part of the spine and really sense into the range of movement that's possible? And that may not be a lot. And then going back in the opposite direction. And again, if you wish, you can make these movements a bit bigger and bring the shoulders in. How is it to move the spine like this, to feel all those vertebrae working? And then coming back to the center. And then we're going to take one hand and take it across the body onto the shoulder. And just support that elbow, the bent elbow, with the other hand. And begin to use the hand that's on the shoulder to just gently massage into and shoulder. Bless you. I think there was a sneeze there. And then up into the neck a little bit. And we can go nice and slowly with this. You might like to close the eyes, giving ourselves a little bit of self-care, gently squeezing. And when you're ready, beginning to take the squeezing down the upper part of the arm. We can straighten that arm out now. Past the elbow, down to the forearms. Gently squeezing the wrists, the palms of the hands, the thumb, all the fingers right to the end. Noticing temperature, how it feels, and then just gradually coming back up the inside part of the arm. Back up to the shoulder, and then allowing both arms to rest. And connecting with any differences that we maybe feel from one side to the other. And then when you're ready, we'll do the opposite arm. So taking the other arm across to the shoulder, supporting the elbow with the other hand, and giving ourselves a nice little massage into the upper part of the back, into the shoulder, a little into the neck joint, just nice and gently. So it should feel, well, no, it shouldn't feel anything. It should feel however it feels. But hopefully a kind of reasonably pleasant sensation, bringing the hands down the outside of the arms, squeezing down past the elbow, the lower arms, the thumbs, the fingers. Maybe this hand feels a different temperature to the other one, maybe not. Going back up the inside part of the arm, back up to the shoulders, and then resting, noticing how that feels. And then we're just going to take the fingertips as if we're playing an imaginary piano and just tap them all over the head like little raindrops, around the back of the skull, over the ears, maybe on the cheek, around the face, up the nose, over the forehead. And again, maybe closing the eyes if that feels okay. and into the hair. And then just bringing the hands to gently rest or cup around the jaw and the chin. And you might even like to lean forward a little bit and rest your elbows on your knees. Noticing temperature of the skin, feeling of the skin. Maybe it feels dry or moist or soft or rough, whatever it is. And then coming back to our seated position. And let's just place one hand over the heart, one hand on the belly. And gently close the eyes if that feels okay for you, or just lowering the gaze. Taking a few slow, easy breaths. Feeling the movement of breath, warmth of the skin, and perhaps ending with a sense of gratitude for this body. All these different movements that it can do without us even really thinking. All these processes of life going on all the time within us. Maybe our body's not ideal, maybe it's not perfect, maybe bits of it doesn't work as well as we'd like. But still, this is us. And we can end with maybe a soft smile to any part of the body that feels like it could benefit from a little extra care, a little extra attention. And allowing the hands to rest down into the lap. Noticing what's here as we end the practice. And then whenever you're ready, just swaying the body slightly from side to side. Beginning to bring a little more movement back into the body in any way it feels like it might like. Maybe a stretch forward or stretch up nice and tall or a yawn. Coming back to just resting for a minute with nothing else to do.